Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Coming In Hot with Caroline. So for today, we're going to go on a little bit of a heavier topic because I was scouring my DMs and I can't tell you overwhelmingly how many women were talking about infidelity and talking about life after infidelity and how insecure they felt, how lost they felt, how they took it so personally. I found it so fascinating. And so I find infidelity and cheating, I know it's a little taboo, but we want to hit on it. So let's talk about infidelity. You know, I grew up watching it, right? Legitimately watched it my whole life. I watched what it does to a woman. I watched what it does to a marriage, what it does to a relationship, just what it does to you. My parents came from another country. They're Cuban. My dad very fortunately rose through the ladder at work and he just was very successful. Lucky for us, and with all the help and support of my mom. The truth is, I don't think he would have ever achieved what he achieved without her. That's the honest truth. But of course it went to his head. Of course, as the more money and the more power you get, and it's typically men, not to say women don't do it. I have friends who have cheated on their husbands. I have friends who have cheated on their boyfriends. I am not at all just throwing men under the bus. This is just in general, but it's typically the money and power is what we hear most about or what we see most. We see a lot of the husband leaves with the young secretary, with the young nanny, and it's always like the younger version of you, or it's somebody that's like the complete opposite of you. I've seen it, watched it my whole life, and now with friends, we've experienced it. So let's dig deep on this. A couple of stories of what I've witnessed and what I went through. And then I want to just discuss how I survived it and what I think my biggest tips and advice is for you. I want you to walk away from this feeling empowered, feeling like you got this, and knowing that nothing is ever personal. So growing up, I told you my dad, he had a big job. He kind of let the power, let the money, let the success get to his head. He definitely enjoyed it. He definitely liked the attention. My mom was definitely tough. For me to say that I knew exactly what was going on in their marriage, I don't. I know my mom is tough, and my dad was definitely, now looking back that he's passed, he was actually always like happy and jolly and like fun and very generous, very affectionate. My mom is actually much colder, does not like affection, had a very different upbringing. My dad was the perfect son. My mom had a very tough upbringing where the dad passed away. The stepdad wasn't nice. She was sent away to boarding school. Again, just two completely different upbringings and what they had lived through, what their expectations of life were to be. And when they got together, I don't know if they even understood how hard everything would be. A lot of women and men just don't understand what that commitment actually means. I think in the old days, we died so much younger. You weren't married for so long. Now people are married for 50, living to 100. And what does that commitment really entail? And are you really meant to be with one person for the rest of your life? I don't know. But I will say this. The cheating, the infidelity, the lying destroys you. And I watched it destroy my mom. You would see him staying out late at night. You would see her always staying up late, waiting, checking phones, checking emails. And trust me, he got busted every time. Like, I can't even sit here and lie. Like, he got busted every time. Hugest fight, hugest scandal. I mean, to his good graces, I have to say he never left. It's not like he packed up his bags and just like walked out like many men do. He never picked the other woman over us. But let me tell you something, he loved it and he had a good time and he just didn't know how to stop. And my mom stayed. She refused to leave the money. She refused to let anyone else come in and take over her life or make sure that her kids did not have everything. It destroyed her, you guys. Till this day, I can honestly tell you, not since my dad has passed. Since he's passed, she only remembers the good. As she's aging, she's remembering the good. But for the last 50 fucking years, I am not joking you, this is all she would talk about. She would still talk about his infidelity. She would still throw it in his face. Every time he wasn't doing something right, she would throw it in his face. My entire life, they would literally get into a fight and she would bring up all of the infidelity. And all I would ever think was, but you stayed. That is honest. And I'm going to be just brutally honest, you guys. That is something that I would say in my head. I'd be like, but you chose to stay. And after a while, the more and more you choose to stay, the more and more they start to think it's okay. And they know what they can get away with. And they know what they need to do to get away with it, right? They please you. They buy you something. You always see the big gifts come. And then back to normal. and nothing ever gets resolved. Nothing ever gets fixed. And in the worst case scenarios, the man actually packs up and leaves his entire family. So what I grew up with, I watched the roller coaster ride. I watched the insecurity. I watched the rug being pulled from under you. I watched the zero trust. My mom was more consumed with figuring out where he was, what he was doing, than going to any of our sports, going to any of our games, spending time with us. It actually controlled her. It really did. It's so sad to even think about how many years she wasted chasing after him and never feeling that she was able to leave. She never felt that she had the capabilities or the strength or the money, or she just never thought she could do it. And what that did to her, till this day, she puts herself down. And it's funny because you see my mom with her red lipstick thinking she's hot shit, and she will always like comment like, oh, he was looking at me, or oh, like she loves to tell you that people are looking at her in this, but it was never my dad, which is so interesting. And with my dad, it was always trying to get his attention. There was always something about her wanting to get his attention. And she never did. That's the thing. She never did. So I would always look at my mom and I'd be like, Mom, was it worth staying now? That you look back, was it worth it? And she said she always wished she could have left. She never felt like she could have met anybody else. She wasn't sure if anybody would want to take on the girls. She wasn't sure if she could like survive on her own. And she lives with so much regret, not necessarily because of my dad, but just of what could have been if she had made any different choices. Like, could she have been happier? Could she have met somebody that would have treated her like gold, that wouldn't have cheated, wouldn't have lied, wouldn't have made her feel insecure? And that's the thing about cheating. It makes you feel insecure. It makes you feel less than. It makes you feel like it's your fault. It makes you feel like, why not? Why doesn't he love me? Or why doesn't he want me? It creates all this delusion in your head that actually doesn't have anything to do with you. Anybody who is actively going out and sneaking around, whether it is taking that phone call, meeting somebody, whether it's a hotel, a restaurant, anywhere, anybody who can lie to your face every single day to hide, to me, I can't even tell you guys how upsetting it is to me to hear about infidelity, because to me, it's so cowardly. It's so cowardly to put someone in a situation where you have taken away their power. This is what I always say about men and in these situations. Okay, just bear with me here. I have so many thoughts because I've been cheated on. I watched my mom be cheated on. I've had so many friends deal with this. And I'm so passionate about it because I just don't think it's necessary. And I think it's such a cowardly thing to do, because all you're doing is hiding your own insecurities and making somebody else insecure and unhappy, and taking away their choice, because what they saw as their future, what they saw in you as their family, now has been destroyed. So when a man comes to tell you he's cheated, it kind of leaves you no option. So you have to either sit here and accept it, deal with it, and forgive. You never forget, right? You can forgive, but you don't forget, and kind of find a way to move forward, or you have to walk away and start over. So they've put you in a position that you're so fucked, because it is so hard to forgive, and it is so hard to forget and to move on and to find that romance again, to find that respect again, to find that trust again. I'm not saying it is impossible. I do know people who have survived it and are happily married 15, 20 years later, still married. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm talking personally from what I witnessed, and now still living with my mom and watching her talk about it for 50 years after. I personally couldn't do it. This is something that John and I talk about constantly. And I've always said to him, that's something that I would have to walk away from. Number one, I would be picturing it. It would drive me insane. I would definitely be needling you. I would definitely probably throw it in your face. If I didn't get what I wanted, or I was pissed, or you did something, you would want to throw it in their face. And the problem with that is that once you forgive, you can throw it in their face for a little bit of time and you probably will get away with it. But there will come a day that is going to be shocking to you where they're going to be over it. And they're going to be like, well, you already forgave me. I have been proving myself. I haven't done anything. When are you going to get over it? And they're going to expect you to forgive and forget. They are. They're going to get to a point where you can't keep torturing them with it. So you're going to be mentally tortured, but you cannot keep mentally torturing them. So I once told John, I was like, I honestly was like, you know what? The only way I could probably stay would be if I went ahead and went to sleep with somebody else, and then we're on even ground. Then you can deal with it. You can fucking picture it. I can sit and picture it, and then we can decide if we want to work this out and move forward together. But the thought of me just forgiving your infidelity and like staying married and being happy, I actually don't think I could do it. I am very strong-minded. I am very tough. And I know from experience that you just don't forget. And again, I say you can forgive, but you just don't forget. And that's just not a world I can live in. It's something for me, like I don't like looking past. I like looking forward. And I think I would live in the past. I think it would be really hard for me. And growing up, you guys know I've been cheated on. I was cheated on in high school with my high school boyfriend. Torture with my best friend. When I say, and your intuition is everything. I don't know why women ignore it. I think at the beginning, I think usually when you meet somebody, there is always a feeling. I know women think that all the butterflies in your stomach and all the anxiety and all the stress, they think it's love and passion. I actually don't think that's it at all. I think that's anxiety and stress warning you, because I actually think butterflies are your body, like your body tells you. And relationships, they're supposed to feel calm. They're supposed to feel good. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be worrying and already distrusting. And if there's something in you that is already questioning that at the beginning, you're probably going to find something. And for me, if you're looking for something, you're probably going to find something. That's just the truth, because I think that's your intuition. If you have an inkling to go search through his shit or go look through his phone, eventually, I honestly think you will find something. And I can honestly tell you that with John, 18 years, I have never picked up his phone. I have never looked through his phone. I don't even know what the code is. I have never looked at his itineraries. I never knew where he was staying. I'm not curious. Like, I don't know where, like, who he's out with. Like, I'm not worried. 18 years have never been worried. Yet, I have been in so many relationships where I questioned it all. And even with my ex-fiance, you were waiting for something to happen. And that feeling is there. That feeling of, like, I just, you're just like, what's going to happen next? That whole what's going to happen next is not a good feeling. And I think that's just your gut instinct. That is your body warning you that maybe this isn't right. Maybe he isn't right for you. And maybe he can't give you all the things that you want. And that's okay. He doesn't have to. You do. But then again, it's up to you to then go find the person who fits that future with you. And I think us expecting anyone, us going up to anyone and thinking, oh, this person has to be faithful, this person has to do good or do right by me. That's an illusion. I think we've normalized cheating. We've normalized men in power doing whatever they want. We had the whole Me Too movement happen. Like, we see that women get taken advantage of. And I'm going to say something, this might fire people up, but I honestly think women have a responsibility in it too. I really do. I don't know why women go back. The guy isn't good for you, or he was cheating on his girlfriend, or that he was a cheater, or he's kind of a playboy, and you think you're going to tame him. You're never going to tame him. You're not going to change anybody. So again, like, there's signs always. There's always red flags. We choose to ignore them. We will go to that party alone, and then you wonder why you get into trouble. Like, I'm sorry, yes, you should be safe. You should be able to go to a party, but you also need to know when to leave. And you also need to know when it's not safe. And you also need to know when to stop drinking. So there is a point for me that we have to take responsibility. I mean, a woman meets a man and he's married. I don't understand why you would ever be going out with him. I don't know why you would ever find that man in any way appealing or attractive. Again, women have to stick up for each other. Women have to stand up for each other, and also not get in bed with men that have wives or girlfriends, right? There is something that it goes both ways. And for me, when are women going to stop doing that? When are men going to stop doing that? And when are women going to start demanding being treated with the utmost respect? When you're taking care of yourself, when you're looking and feeling your best, and I'm not saying that you could be looking fabulous and happy and someone can't go cheat on you. Of course they can. People can go do whatever they want to do. But I think they're less likely. I really do. I think they're less likely when you're badass. Honestly, like, when you are taking care of yourself, when you are making an effort for yourself. I see this a lot in marriages, especially when the kids come and the women start letting go of themselves, and women are swamped in motherhood, and they start forgetting the husband, kids first. Then usually it's the elderly parents, right? And then the husband, then you, right? Women are always last. Things happen in a marriage, right? I genuinely believe, and I've said this a million times, I think it's work. I think relationships are work. I think marriage is work. And I think when you stop working at it, that's when people start looking around, right? When you stop taking care of yourself, when you don't recognize yourself and then they don't recognize you, people start looking around. When you're not in a good place and you're not happy and you're not looking in the mirror and you don't realize how much you have changed and you haven't been able to be honest with yourself, that's a problem, right? You wonder, empty nest syndrome, why a lot of marriages break up. First of all, you're going through menopause. You're probably having a nervous breakdown and don't even realize it, right? You're not feeling like yourself. You're not looking like yourself. Again, knowledge is power. So you having communication with your partner, you talking about what you're going through. Again, somebody who loves and respects you should want to know why you're not happy and what's going on with you. The same way that if a husband isn't happy, you should be able to have that conversation, because again, you didn't get married to go cheat and go do whatever you want. It is teamwork. It is a partnership. It is a lifelong partnership. And when you make that commitment, it's a journey. And you've got to be willing to pivot, evolve, and grow. If you are not willing to pivot, evolve, and grow, I can probably tell you your marriage won't last. And that's just the truth. It is hard. And I love John, but that doesn't mean that it's not hard. It doesn't mean you don't get fed up. Of course. And how do you keep it going? Right? How do you keep that marriage going so you don't start looking around? So you don't start looking for someone else to fill that void. Number one, for me, it's always making sure you're taking care of yourself, because I don't need a man to give me that attention. I give it to myself. So John is confident in that fact that, no, I'm not out looking for male attention. Like, I either give myself attention or I will let John know when I need some attention. Again, I'm not sneaking around. I'm not hiding it. I'm not pretending to be somebody I'm not. I'm very honest about when I do need some attention or I do need some love or I need you to pay attention. I'll say it. I'll be like, John, let's go. Wake up. Yeah, this is important. Whatever it is, because men can't read your mind. And I do think women have to get to a place where you're asking for what you want and for what you expect. And I think assuming that your husband or assuming that your partner knows what you're thinking, knows what you're feeling, and knows what you need and want, that's crazy to me. So you have to talk. You have to tell them. And I think the most marriages, when you see the cheating and you see that, it's because there's lack of communication, lack of affection. The mother has usually let herself go, unfortunately, being bombarded with the responsibilities of motherhood. And you kind of see the breakage. You know what I mean? You kind of see where it can happen. People call that 7-year itch. Me and John said it. We're like, it's not an itch, but it is this feeling of, once you have kids, it is such a roller coaster ride, and it does test you in a way that it tests your backgrounds. It tests like who you were, who your parents were, because all that shit comes out. All that shit comes out, and then you're forced to face with it. And then with a partner, because now you're dealing with, like, I'm really dealing with his parents and he's really dealing with mine at the end of the day. So getting to that place where you're having such open communication that you're really talking about how you're feeling. John and I have been married 18 years. We still have to talk about our marriage. We still talk about how we're feeling, or if we feel disappointed, or we feel let go, or we feel disrespected in something, or if it's, we need some attention, we need some love. We still talk about it, and it's 18 years later. I am all for counseling also. I think counseling is an incredible tool. Do not disregard it. I think having a third party who has an open mind, open ears, doesn't know you, doesn't know your friends, doesn't know your history or your past, to go talk to somebody. Usually people feel a little bit more comfortable with somebody else there to kind of monitor us, because they get scared to tell you how they're feeling. You know what I mean? Just because of what your reaction would be. And I think people react better in therapy because there's another person there. And I think people can be a little bit more honest and open. So I don't shy away from therapy. And for those of you, okay, for all my amazing women out there who have been cheated on and who think they don't know how to get up after this, or how do you move on? How do you find your happy again? I just want to tell you, you absolutely will. You get back up. Okay. You might be feeling down now. You might be feeling less than, you might be feeling unworthy, but I want you to know that infidelity and cheating is always about the person doing the cheating. It is their insecurity, their need for attention, their need for something that they're going, instead of asking you, instead of having the balls to ask you and talk to you about it and ask you for it, they go the easier route with a complete unknown who doesn't know anything about them. And, it's all the the shits and giggles from the beginning, right? Because life gets real and life gets hard. And that beginning stage is all bullshit. Yes, we're all on our best behavior. We're all like walking on eggshells. We all want you to like us. And you're acting like you're not getting upset. You're not getting mad. You're not moody. You haven't gone through perimenopause. Like you haven't had kids. You haven't been up all night. You haven't had financial issues. Your husband hasn't lost his job. Like there is so much that goes into it. So you wonder why he's going to go get the young girl, whatever, because yes, it's fun. It's easy. There's no problems. No one's yelling at him. No one's telling him he did it wrong, or no one's telling him to get home and hurry up and go clean this. Like, again, life's responsibilities are so hard and people shy away from them. People want to run away from them. The home life is so important. How do you find happy in the home? How do you find happy in the relationship? How do you find happy in yourself so that you don't have to go find it somewhere else? I'm always saying, like, build a home that you don't have to escape from, right? That you don't have to go on vacation all the time to escape, right? Or, we always joke about needing like a safe house from our husbands, to go hide and gossip and talk. But like, why do we need that? How do we create a world and a space and relationships where we can be open and honest about how we're feeling and somebody accepts that, doesn't take it personally, and allows you to change, allows you to grow, allows you to experience with them? It isn't always about finding that other person. That other person's going to annoy you too. Anybody that you're cheating with, like, trust me, that guy that took off with the girl, she will annoy him too. And some people meet and they're the loves of each other's lives. And yes, that's a hard pill to swallow. I have friends who, yes, the dad cheated on the mom and he left and he's still married to that woman happily. So yes, there are those moments that it's a very hard pill to swallow, but you have to remember he wasn't your person. Like, he wasn't right for you. He was right for her maybe, but he wasn't right for you. And you're gonna find somebody right for you. Because again, a lot goes into that. And you need to know who you are, what you like, what really makes you happy before you get into these relationships. Before you're worried about anybody cheating on you, make sure you're not cheating on you. Make sure you're not taking a shortcut. You know what I mean? Making sure that you are taking care of yourself, that you know your worth, that you know what you're made of before you get into these relationships. You get obsessed with trying to fix it. You get obsessed with wanting to like make him love you or you don't want her to have him. There's this whole like mentality, and I'm always like, let her have him. Let her have him. Good riddance. I'd rather be alone than in bad company any day. I would never want to be in a relationship with somebody who had the nerve or who had the ability to lie to my face like that. To me, that's not somebody I want to be with. The guy who's like walking off and sneaking off, that's not my kind of guy. That's not the kind of person I want to be with. So for me, it's also owning your own power and realizing that that's their shit. You've got your own life to live. You can create the life you want. You have choices. You get to move on. You don't have to deal with this shit. Getting into that mindset that you don't have to put up with it. You're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to feel good. And someone is supposed to respect you. You're not supposed to be in a relationship where someone's lying to you, sneaking off, and then sneaking into bed with you. That to me, it's just too much. And I think that we have to normalize marriages that are normal. It isn't over the top. It isn't a fairy tale. It isn't perfect. Marriages are like everyday life. Again, yes, like when you're watching on Instagram and you see the person on the vacation, that's once a year. How hard is it to be happy on vacation, right? But that's like once a year. What happens the other days of the year? The day-to-day, the tasks, the responsibilities, the errands, the children, the problems, the finances. Like the day-to-day is actually quite boring. The day-to-day is actually quite hard and challenging. And you've got to be with somebody who can handle the day-to-day, that doesn't run away every time life gets hard, because life's going to be really hard forever. So you want somebody who digs in the trenches with you, who isn't always looking for that quick fix or looking for that easy way out, because life isn't easy. The fact that people get married and have kids and then like can just like walk away just blows my mind. Like, I feel such a tremendous responsibility right now, especially with the kids. And I'm like, I think women are always just so fucking exhausted. And you're always like, how does he have time for that? I'm exhausted. Where does anybody have time to cheat? Who has time to sneak around? Who has time to have multiple partners? One partner is exhausting. It is overwhelming. I can't cater to one more person. So I can't even fathom people having the time to be sneaking around, to be honest with you. I'm like, get your shit together, guys. It's just never personal. It's never about you. I never want any woman to ever think it's about you, or any man for that matter, because I know females who cheat too. And it's always from an insecurity. It is always from a need of their own that they're not able to get it on their own. So they're searching for that quick fix. And when you're being honest with somebody and someone's looking for a fairy tale, you're not going to float their boat anymore. Do you know what I mean? When it gets too real, people like living in this fantasy world. And once you get to be happy in the real world, that's when you're winning. That's when you're having healthy friendships, healthy relationships, healthy marriages, healthy homes, healthy families. When you're happy in your real life, not in just the special occasions or this fantasy world that we're all living in. This fantasy world of watching celebrities or watching, the rich and famous, or watching all this that you think it's supposed to be a certain way, and it's just not. It's like all the kids watching porn and thinking that sex is really like that. It's the same way for women. I think fairy tales are porn for women. It's like the same shit where you create all these illusions in your head of what it's supposed to be. And then when you realize it's not, you're so disappointed and you're so let down, and you don't even know what to do from there because you don't even know what to think. You don't know what it's supposed to look like. Life is real. Life takes so much work. Life takes commitment. Life takes responsibility. And it's not a fairy tale. And when boys are watching porn and they think that's what sex is really like, what a disappointment. And then they think it's boring. They think a girl having normal sex is boring. So again, we have to get happy in our normal, real day-to-day lives and stop only being happy in this one special occasion or one great vacation or this one moment in life or this one fairy tale that we watch that we think it's supposed to be. It's not. People will disappoint you. People will let you down. The only person that you can really count on for the rest of your life is you. So make sure she's a stand-up person. Starts there. Make sure that you are feeling good in your own skin. You actually like yourself. You actually look in the mirror and like what you see and the real life you're living. Then you work from there. And if every single person did that, like if every man and every woman actually took the time to figure out who they really were, what they really wanted, what they really liked, what really made them happy, and actually took care of themselves and walked into the world with that energy, imagine, like, you wouldn't need to run away. You wouldn't need to cheat. You wouldn't need to look somewhere else for that quick fix because you would have it on your own. And the only person who is ever coming to save you, the only person you have forever is you. So you can't let anybody else take that power away from you. You can't let anyone else have that much power over you. You can't let anyone else, decide what your worth is. That's you. You decide. So he who cheats, he walks away, his loss. Let him go, move on, because at the end of the day, for me, I know what I can give. I know who I am. I know what I deserve. And if you can't step into that, then please move the fuck out of the way. Okay? And I honestly think, again, cheating is so ugly. I can say it again and again. I think cheating and infidelity is awful. Number one, because it plays such mind games and it so destroys security and the human spirit when it shouldn't. Because at the end of the day, it is about that person and it isn't about you. So anyone who thinks they will not survive after cheating or a breakup after cheating, trust me, you will. You're going to be better off because now you know. Now you know what you deserve. Now you know what you don't want. Now you set the boundaries. Now you don't take anything less. Okay, you don't take anything less. And something that John and I, which is just an interesting thing that you guys might want to try with your spouses or with your relationship. John and I, initially, obviously I come from a family of cheating. John's parents have been married 50 years happily. Like if they cheated, nobody knows. Okay, so they're like such a normal, wonderful family. And the one thing that John and I would say always, right when we started dating, was because cheating was more of a thing for me. And I would always be like, I don't want to have to worry. Like, I don't want to have to think about it. John and I said, if you walk into a bar, if you walked into a party, if you walked into a restaurant, if I walked into your home unannounced, okay? So whoever you're talking to, if you walked in on them in any social situation and they were talking to somebody, whoever that may be, let's say it's a young woman at the bar, would it make me uncomfortable? How would I feel if I saw you? Not knowing what it was, not knowing anything, but how would it make you feel? Would I be happy with you? Would it make me feel good? If it's no, then don't do it. Knowing that that other person is important to you, out of respect, you always act accordingly. So for us, John and I, it's like that pact to choose happy, even in the hard, even in the disagreements, we choose happy. And again, and in life, in any situation that we put ourselves in, to always show that love and respect to each other. And if I walked in and I saw you, would I be proud or would I be disappointed? And work from there. And I think it's just a great, easy thing to do as a gentle reminder, because we can all be flirtatious, right? We all like a little attention, and like we all meet people and we're all talk. I'm very open. I'm very chatty. I'm like totally social. John's definitely more quiet. So like I could be definitely out talking to a million people. I would never want him to feel uncomfortable. It's knowing each other and respecting each other. I love you guys. And I want you to love yourselves. I want you to love yourselves more than you love the person you're with. The one thing my mom always said, I have to say this, she always said to me, he should be a little bit more in love with you than you are with him. When I was getting married, that's something my mom would always say, because she said women can't control their emotions, men can. And like when women are dead in love, they like lose themselves. They just cannot control themselves. But men can be dead in love, but like they still will go see their friends. They still will go, like, you know what I mean? They don't obsess like that. This is not everyone. This is something my mother said. But if I really think about it, like Teresa has a point. And I really do think there is really into something that you still hold your power. And I think if you're marrying somebody for something, like for money or to be taken care of, you're giving away your power. I think, again, when you're getting back together with somebody after cheating or after that, like you give away power. So for me, I think it is important to feel your power, to have a little bit more power over your partner. I do believe that healthier marriages, happier marriages, the man is a little bit more in love with the woman than the woman is with the man, because I do think it creates a different dynamic. So that's just food for thought from Teresa, but I actually thought it was an interesting concept, because we're so quick to be like, oh, we need a man, we need a man, No, you don't. No, you don't. You need you. So stop worrying about him, stop worrying about what he was doing, and start worrying about you and taking care of you and making you the strongest, most capable, fabulous woman you are. And that way you don't have to take any shit from anybody. And ladies, I will say this, please stop dating men that have wives or have girlfriends. That's never going to work out well for you. I can honestly say, if I dated somebody that was cheating on their wife and then left their wife for me, I don't know what makes you think they're not going to do that to you. If he left his family for you, he'll probably leave you for the next girl. So ladies, again, let's have some compassion and remember that we are women's women and we support women. So we don't go after any man that has a girl. Okay? I just wanted to say that out loud, because I think it's super important that women take care of each other, because again, we owe it to each other and we owe it to ourselves to be each other's biggest cheerleaders. I really believe that. So I wanted to say, I love you all so much. I believe in you. I believe in your power, in your strength, and you got this. Make yourself proud by knowing that you got this no matter what. Okay? Cheating sucks, and it never has anything to do with you. I will be back next week with another hot topic, and I hope you have a fabulous week. I hope you get up. I hope you get dressed. I hope you feel seen, heard, loved, and respected. And if not, I want to tell you that I love you. Mwah! Have the best week. Bye.